All right, guys. So I know this says 3 minutes or less. There's no way I can do this in 3 minutes. So I'm going to put it to 5. So I'm going to do a quick review of the things that we've learned yesterday. I call it the Roman Government 101, government in 5 minutes. And I got a timer. So you can't. Oops. Well, yeah, there it is. I'm timing myself 5 minutes. I'm going to get this done in 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes does not start until I press present. So you better not start time me either. Yeah, I know some of you guys are going to try to time me. All right. Roman Government 101. Let's go ahead and start this presentation. All right. So, just a quick review. There are three main groups that we found in Rome, or in Italy, excuse me. So you have the Latins, who are here in red, who provide the language. You have the Etruscans in blue, who provide architecture, engineering, alphabet, and kind of started making temples in the sewer system. In the yellow, you have the Greeks, religion, agriculture, grapes and olives specifically, and also some just culture in general. And the Greeks and the Romans would have a pretty good relationship until the Romans actually conquered them. Some quick notes. Rome started as a monarchy, okay? A monarchy with Etruscan kings. If you see here, with this red here, these Etruscans actually kind of conquer the Latins and then, and kind of implant their own style of government. Remember, a monarchy is a government where one leader is in charge. Well, this didn't last long. I mean, I guess 7 kings ruled for a long time, but in 509 BC, the last Etruscan king is pretty much kicked out to the curb, and Rome decides to start a new government called a republic. And as you wrote yesterday, a republic is also known as a representative democracy. And that is a government in which people select those who will make the laws for them. So let's get into this. The Roman government is tripartite. Okay. And we said this word yesterday, and tripartite, tri means three, part means part. And so you have a government with 3 parts. And those 3 parts, as we talked about yesterday, are kind of like a cake. And I'm not reading all the stuff on here, okay? So power is balanced among all 3 branches. Each branch has a way to check the other branch so that not one becomes more powerful. Remember, what they don't want a king. They don't want one person with much power. So that's why you have 3 branches like America now. So these 3 parts, you have the magistrates, you have the Senate, and you have the assemblies. And I say assemblies because there's more than just the plebeian council. There's a lot more, but we're not going to worry about those. So I told you yesterday, it's like a cake. The 3 parts must stay balanced or the republic would crash like a cake. You can't take a piece from the middle and say, oh, we're good to go. You can't take a piece from the bottom and everything is good. And the top, we can work on that. We'll figure that out later. But the point of the matter is, it's like a cake that cannot be moved. Remember, most people living in Rome were not citizens and could not vote or hold office. They conquered, and when they conquered people, they pretty much allowed you to still kind of do what you want to do, but you were not considered a citizen. So let's talk about this. Magistrates are the men who are elected to be governor, to lead. The Senate, 300 patrician men and some plebeians who serve for life. And of course, the assemblies, they're numerous, and these assemblies are made up of all male citizens. Assemblies can be split into many groups. You got the plebeian council, you have others as well. And as a reminder, women were not allowed because women are not considered citizens. Sorry. You had 2 consuls. These men, they were elected council, and after 367, one had to be a plebeian, but at first they were both patricians. The consuls ran the government, carried out the laws, and commanded the army. They were elected to serve for 1 year, and they were selected actually by the plebeian council, or by the assemblies. They had to prove each other's actions, and if one was not doing the right thing, they could veto or forbid one another, which we talked about yesterday. They governed with advice from the Senate and oversaw the other magistrate positions. There are a lot, we're not talking about those. In case of emergency and there's a bad thing going on, they could hire a dictator. Not like dictators you think of today, but these dictators would come in and they're nominated by the Senate to rule, and they had absolute power. Some pretty good dictators, some would only serve for 6 months, some would serve more. Usually it was just 6 months, and they had also the power to overrule the consuls if, let's say, the consuls were still around. Cincinnatus, don't worry about that. Moving on. The magistrates carried out the laws and were responsible for day-to-day operations of the republic. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. I got to get this done. The plebeian council, also known as the assembly, they really didn't have much power at all. At first, they didn't even exist. But what they do have is they have the ability and the power to elect tribunes, don't worry about those, to also make laws specifically for the plebeians, and also to elect the consuls. They also acted as a court for the plebeians because they kind of felt it wasn't fair. And finally, we have the Senate. The Senate is approved by people called censors, who are actually also consuls. And there's 300 senators, and they serve for life. At first, it was only patricians, but then you started letting some plebeians in later on. The senators had a lot of power. They were very powerful, especially in Rome's early history. Later on, not so much, but early on, yes. It was made up of 300, big old number. That's a lot of people. The Senate was made up of the wealthiest and highest ranking Roman aristocrats. So if you were rich and you were powerful and you were of a noble birth or noble family, you would be able to be there. Okay. Um, the plebeians patricians, they were advised and nominated the consuls. Yes, the assembly pretty much had the most power. They controlled the money, especially the republic's money. They also talked about foreign policy, and they were also the ones that acted as a court. They proposed the laws and debated the laws and policies, and they were passed by the centuriate, who's not important. And guess what? I'm done.